process video using this sketch from Allison Davis, and I will link the sketch below so that you can go on to Scrapbook Generations and download the sketch. It will have all the measurements for you and anything that you need to create this layout. So I am using these photos from a day at the park, and these photos are of Connor. And this swing set, I'm not exactly sure like who it's intended for. I'm not sure if it's intended for like little ones or if it's intended for children who have maybe some disabilities. But Connor loves sitting in this swing and opening up his arms, pretending that he is flying. And I think it's because of that security of that belt as opposed to the black swings that they normally have. So I pulled out my trimmer, and has any of you guys ever gone to the store and looked at something and went, I don't need that. Like, I could totally do that at home with something else. I do that every single time I see a square punch. I'm thinking, I can do that at home. I don't need a square punch. Obviously, this layout and every layout that I do that has squares on it makes me realize that I can't cut a square. Every single one of these squares are weirdly shaped. They're not true 2x2 squares. It just is a problem that I struggle with. Have you guys ever struggled with something like that? I just don't understand why I can't figure it out. I'm going to lay all of my squares down, and instead of putting 4x4 photos in the center there, I went ahead and added a 4x4 card that says Boys Rule. And I did that because there is a photo of him, and the sketch calls for another little 2x2 photo, and that one was really far back, so I thought it would work best if I went ahead and cut it down to a 2x2. I do go ahead and distress all of my edges with black soot, and then I'm going to lay down all of these squares. There are 20 squares. And here is where I figure that I have lost a square. No idea where the square went. I know that I cut 20 squares. I actually cut a couple extras because I wanted to use those little squares that actually have wording on it. But I just go ahead and find another square or another piece of paper and cut it out. So this is where I'm measuring everything up, and I know that it is totally off, but at this point, not much I could do about it. So I go ahead and decide to put the rest of the paper down. And then this is where I decide that I haven't figured out the sketch at all. Probably should have read the instructions a little bit more, because there's supposed to be a whole row of these 2x2 squares on the left-hand side of the page. And then my 4x4 photos fit perfectly. So I had to move up all of that. And then, of course, that changed the way that I wanted to lay out my paper. And so I changed that up just a little bit and make sure that I get all of it down. Now, if you notice that the stripe paper does look a little off as well, I cut this stripe paper wrong. If you can tell, there is wording on the stripe paper. It's in like a gray tone-on-tone color, and it's going sideways. So again, something that I was just like, this layout is just not going together for me very well at all. But I'm okay with that, and I'm going to make it work. So once I got all my 4x4 photos down, I realized that I had a little sliver that needed to be covered up. So I covered that up with the green paper, again, because I didn't cut my 2x2 squares correctly. So I'm just going with it in regards to this layout. Now, I did start something a little new over on my Instagram page. So if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, I have an account over there. It's also called Life and Layout, so you guys can check out some things. I have started to do Instagram stories, and I'm calling them Life Behind Layouts, so that you guys can see some of the things that I'm doing besides just the videos that I'm posting, because sometimes getting videos up and editing them, it's a lot more than I want to do. I'm not even going to say that I don't have time to do it. Sometimes I just want to be crafty and not necessarily worry about my layouts and getting them up on YouTube. I just want to have fun with it. So make sure you check that out over on the Instagram. And this paper here is Boy's Rule from Simple Stories. And I think one of the things that I love about this Boy's Rule is that it's just boy theme. I know there's lots of themes out there that are like dinosaur theme or prince theme or things like that. And they're really cute layouts and they're really cute collections, but there's only so much that you can do with it. When I look at this paper collection, I see just boys. There's just fun colors. They're mainly primary colors, but there's also some of those secondary colors in there. There's just fun stuff. Like there's frogs and dogs and fidget spinners and just all kinds of different things that represents boys. And it's not overly one thing or the other. Like there's not just a ton of frogs on this page. So that's what I really like about this collection. And I recently purchased Legendary, which is another collection that I am loving. It is also very similar to this collection in the sense that it's just boy. Like there's lots of things about it that just scream boy. And it is from Cocoa Vanilla, and I believe my little scrapbook store still has some, so if you guys want to check that out, you can see the excitement of me purchasing it and getting it over on Instagram. Now I did pull out my typewriter again and some 3x4 cards to do my journaling. My journaling just says that Connor loves this swing at Arbondale Park. He would hold his arms out and pretend he was flying. So I just used the typewriter and then cut those into strips and added them right there to the bottom right of this layout. So here is my final layout as well as some close-ups. If you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more double page layouts, make sure you hit that subscribe button because that's all you're going to get on my channel. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.